Okay, Mr. Phobes here. I'm going to show you how to draw the octahedron. The directions are going to be exactly the same for the icosahedron. So in order to, save paper, we're going to try and nest these together as efficiently as possible. So I'll talk about how I drew this. But the first thing we need to do is work with just the icosahedron file. So what I'm going to suggest you do is we're going to go File, Open, and I have put on Blackboard under the models. I've got this Platonic Solids template. I've converted to an Illustrator file, so it's going to be a lot easier to work with. So you're going to download that to your desktop, and then it's this one. So I'm going to open this. Okay. All right. Now, what I want to do when it's open in Illustrator is go to the little artboard tool. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it down to just the icosahedron. So I come up here, grab it, grab it, and I don't want the text in there. Okay. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to call this Octahedron. And we're going to save it as an Illustrator file. I'm going to save. It's going to tell me I've already got it. I'm going to replace it. I'm going to go OK. All right, so now it's on my desktop just as that file. So the next thing I want to do is if you go back to Blackboard, there's this Illustrator template. So if you click on that, it'll download to your desktop. And then what you want to do is open up that template. So here it is right here. All right. There we go. And if you look at it, it comes in with several layers. This is a template directly from the Flab Lab, and it's set up as 24 by 18, and it's got these red guidelines. And what that means is, don't worry about this one. This one is okay, but these double lines, that means don't draw within those lines because the laser will start cutting into the platform of the laser cutter. Okay, so if you look at this, I've got something called a drawing layer. All right, I've locked the guides so we can't adjust those, but what we want to do is we want to bring in this Illustrator file that I just saved, and we're going to bring it in on this drawing layer. And that's important because we want it to be the bottommost layer. So we're going to go File, Place, find this on my messy desktop. There it is. All right, and place it anywhere. Okay, so you can see it comes in quite small. Let's rotate it so we can go, while it's selected, we can go Object, Transform, Rotate, and then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, now if we go to the Selection tool, that's going to allow us to scale it up. Hold the Shift key, and what we want to do is we want to scale it up as big as we can to get as much of the that's a little too big. This way we're going to be able to get two. That's probably okay. I'm going to move it over just a little bit. Okay. Now, let's do this. With it selected, let's go to the properties over here and let's change the opacity. It's going to be easier to draw on. All right. Something like that. Now, one of the things that would be helpful, so let's do this. Let's bring in some new guides that'll allow us to draw this, because we want to make sure we draw nice parallel lines here, okay? So go to the layers and unlock the guides. Select, make sure you're on the guide layer, and we're going to draw some new guides. I'm going to lock the drawing layer so it doesn't affect it. And then what I'm going to do is go over here. I'm on the selection tool, and I'm going to click right in the center of the ruler, and I'm going to bring a guide right to the center. Okay, and then I'm going to bring another one. This is you're going to see that this is going to help when we start drawing. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to lock the guides. All right. So the first thing we want to do is draw the perimeter because that's what's going to get cut out. We're going to do that on the red cut line. And when we're on this layer, we want to go to the fill and stroke menu here, select fill, and then this little none, because all we want is a stroke. And then with this selected, we're going to come up here to the swatches. If your swatches aren't showing, go to Windows and select swatches and select this red. That's the laser red, and that's what the laser needs to cut. All right. So then we're going to go to the pen tool, and I just like getting close so I can see what's going on. And we're just going to basically draw the outline. So we'll start at the guide. Okay, so I've got it all outlined, and the way I can make sure is let me turn off the drawing layer, and I'll turn off the guides. Whoops. Uh, Turn off the guides, and there we go. I can see the whole outline. Okay, so now what we want to do, I'm going to lock the red layer, and now I'm going to go to this blue engraving layer. And what I want to do is I want to select from the swatches this blue. Okay, so this layer is going to be the layer that's going to slightly etch the paper so we can fold it. Okay, so I'm going to turn back on the drawing layer so I can see what I'm going to do, and then I'm just going to do the same thing. I think one of the strategies that would work is, okay, so it's going to go to the anchor, and then go to this anchor, and then come back and keep hitting the anchors. This is going to keep the geometry nice and clean. So go to the anchor. Okay, now we've got it. Let's just make sure we've got all the, so I'm going to turn off the uh, drawing path, so that looks good. I've got my etching lines, and I've got that. Okay. Um, Now, if you wanted to create some openings in this, I'll probably have another tutorial on how you can actually create uh, different shapes and then import them in here. Um, that I would do that on another layer. So if you go to the red cut layer and then you add a layer, you could do it on that. We can merge the two layers later, but I would draw it, lock this layer and then draw that in there. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to get rid of that layer. Okay, so now what I want to do, I'm going to unlock the engraving layer and the red layer because I want to copy this. So I'm going to go up to the tool, I'm going to select everything, hit the option key, and I'm going to drag it over. All right, and then that's basically it. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to call this OctoCut, something like that. I don't want to call it Octahedron because that's the one that I've already saved for my drawing path. Save it to the desktop. Okay, and then you're ready to go. We'll just load it into a flash drive, and then we can cut.